Devy Planet, welcome to another episode of Devy Planet. I am SC Romero with my co-host Spencer at Buckwald Sports, and today we are talking about should they stay or should they declare for the NFL draft. We have some key players we're going to talk about, plus some of the matchups that they have today if they're not on bye week. All that and more on this episode of the Devy Planet.
Welcome to the Devy Planet. The Devy Planet. The Devy Planet.
Devy Planet, I am SC Romero with my co-host Spencer at Buckwald Sports. Spencer, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Feeling better. Sorry for the delay, Devy Planet. But we're feeling better. Brain wasn't fully there. You wouldn't have gotten the best of me. So that's the delay. We're here now. How are you doing, SC?
Doing good, man. Health always first for everyone wants to make sure health. I know our God might get that's always starts with the mental health, but your physical health is important as well. So get the rest you need. So I'm glad you're feeling better, Spencer. 'Tis the season, as we transition from the hot to the cold, the sicknesses come in, right? So make sure you're getting better, stay up on your vitamin C, all that good stuff, and make sure you take care of yourself as well. JB, my guy, what's going on, man? Appreciate you always joining here. What we're talking about today, though, this was actually your idea, Spencer. We're going to talk about some guys that are eligible to enter this year's draft, but should they declare for the draft or should they stay in college for another year? That's all. That's a big question that I feel a lot of these have, right? Especially with the NIL happening now. You could possibly get more if you stay that extra year, right, from your colleges. Or maybe you just had a down year. You need to stay that extra year to possibly improve your draft stock. On the flip side, we've seen some guys stay that other year and they have a horrible year or they get hurt and it kind of drops your draft stock. Not everyone's Jamar Chase, right? Where you stay that other year and you get hurt all season, you're out. You're a first round pick. Thanks for joining in, JB, and tuning in for this. So what we're going to talk about is some guys. We're going to pull up their stats, talk about the games that they maybe have going on today. We're going to talk about some quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. But let's go ahead and get it started with none other than Mr. Bust. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a bust. But let's talk about Texas quarterback Arch Manning. So as you see on the screen, we do have this basics right now. 62.7% completion percentage so far this season. 2,123 yards with 235.8 yards per game, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 9.3 ADOT. That's the average depth of target there. That's just the basics there, Spencer. When we're looking at Arch Manning, we talked about him before. He's either a Heisman or a bust. And that's the way I felt going into the season for him, the way we were hyping him up. Like, if he's not playing this top-tier, upper echelon, Heisman level type of season, he's a bust. I mean, and that's unfair for anyone. But at the same time, like, that's the kind of hype that he had behind him. Granted, you see the name there, right? Yeah. Shedeur Sanders is like, you got to be a first-round pick. Your prime time's, son. He wasn't. He dropped down. He's not even started, right? Dylan Gabriel's over him. Arch Manning is kind of that same era. Like, it's either you're the 101 or you're not anything at this point, right? And that's unfortunate for any college player, but that I feel that's the way the media's kind of gone on him. And some advanced stats behind him. He's 2.93 time to throw, right? So he's getting the ball quick, right? 8 to 3. That's what you like to see. 13 big time throws, 12 turnover worthy plays though, and 14.9% pressure to sacks. When he's getting pressure, how many times he's getting sacked there? 18 sacks on the season. He is on bye this week, but to close out the season, he does have at Georgia, who's right now number 5. These could change if they lose this week. Then he plays versus Arkansas, then against the best team in Texas, Texas A&M at number 3 to close it out. That's a tough schedule, and they're on the cusp of making it, right? If they lose another game, they're probably out of the playoffs. Right now, though, if they win out, they're probably in. What should Arch Manning do? Should he stay or should he declare?
I think Arch should stay another year. And, again, you look below the hood, these numbers, they're not that bad. For all the talk about him, that pressure to sack ratio of 14.9, that's a really good number, especially when you consider that Texas O-line has been a problem all year long.
Right.
Turnover worthy plays, and his, he's got a good ratio. 6 interceptions doesn't look as bad as kind of how it's been. He's gotten a little lucky on those, but He's pushing the ball downfield. He's a great runner of the football, but I think
Right.
if he spends another year refining his game, getting those reps that he needs, stays at Texas, honestly, I think he should stay
Yeah.
there. He's familiar with the system. They have good up and coming weapons. I think he could really build his stock back up. This is a good player with great tools, but he clearly needs another year to kind of get under his belt, get comfortable, I think, in the pocket.
Right.
And, we've seen the improvement as the year's gone on. He looks like a much better quarterback from the day he was starting against Ohio State week 1.
Right.
And, like that, I think that continual progression is what we want to see with any of these guys.
And the Ohio State game, Ohio State didn't look great that game either. We've seen
No, yeah.
Julian saying, really take leaps forward as far as an elite quarterback as well. So with Arch, I do think stay there here. I don't think it's a Quinn Ewers type of deal where he stays just like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I do like some of the process coming in. They have Dia Bell, a top freshman coming in, but Arch will get that playing in, and really they have a nice core of receivers and younger guys that are going to stay with him basically for another year unless they transfer out. That it could really benefit him. I do think Sarkis is a good coach. I do think they have a good system in Texas. And I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt him. The only thing that could possibly hurt him is if he gets hurt because of the season he had this year. It wasn't an elite season, right? He's not going out there throwing for 3,000, 5,000 yards or 4,000 yards. He could throw for 3,000 potentially if he goes crazy, but I don't see it happening the way it's been working out. But it's gonna benefit him if he stays another year because he has the potential with the talent and the name to become a 101. I think it's too far gone now. Unless they win out and they get to the playoffs and then they win,
Yeah.
I think that's the only way we see Arch really coming out. If they get into the playoffs and then they end up winning the national championship, where he's like, all right, I'm good, right? So
Yeah, he's got to go insane mode, I think.
yeah,
But again, this is you worry about like a Drew Aller. That's sort of like, okay, he's building on it. He's building on it. We see the continual progression, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, whole core comes back and it collapses. But I don't really see that. I think Arch is a little more like well-rounded aspect to his game. Aller was basically all arm. Right. Arch can win with his legs. He's got the arm too. It's just getting those mechanics consistent. So
more athleticism, and Arch kid, definitely more athleticism than Drew. And as you mentioned, the A out there, 9.3. He's not. He's pushing the ball down far enough where he puts his team in good position. As you mentioned, the TD interception ratio 3-1 there, really good there as well. The completion percentage isn't bad. So, answer the question. Does he stay or does he declare?
He stays. I think he knows he's getting good money. If he stays, he's building his game up, and I don't think the name. I don't think that draft stock is ever going to tank past day 2, no matter how bad he plays because of the raw talent and the name. Right. What about you? You think he stays or you think he goes?
Right now, if I was to say, I say he stays. But again, I do believe if they get to the playoffs and they end up winning, if they win the national championship, I think that starts to question like, well, our national championship, may not have been a Heisman, but I just took my team to the national championship and won. That could definitely, because that means he beat out the potential 101 of Fernando Mendoza, right? So I think that would be the decision on him end up being. But right now, I do think he stays as well. Let's go to our next guy. We're going to talk about Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. As you see on the screen, we do have his basics of 71.4% completion, 1,770 yards, just 221.5 yards per game, 19 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 8.7 ADOT. So he has some things that he's doing better than Arch and some things that he's doing a little bit less than Arch as well. Behind the scenes, as far as his advanced stats, 16 big-time throws, 4 turnover-worthy plays, 15% pressure to sack ratio, 2.68 time to throw. So he's getting that ball out quick. That's what you really love to see there. And 9 sacks. A lot of this could be based on the Oregon offense line. You brought up Texas offensive line. Oregon has a really nice one. They made sure they built out their trenches, especially going into the Big Ten. They knew the guys were big up there, so they made sure they built that out. But he closes out. He has at Iowa today, number 20, which is a Big Ten matchup. Then he has versus Minnesota, versus USC 19, and at Washington 23. To be honest, this is a pretty tough schedule coming up as well. Like there's potential for upsets all the way through the line here. But what are your thoughts on Dante Moore?
Yeah, Dante Moore is interesting, and the media kind of beat us to the punch on this one because they were talking about how he's thinking about staying. Mm-hmm. But you look at these numbers, and the talent, the numbers, it all plays into like he's got potential to honestly be 101 if he does come out. And that's a very tantalizing prospect. I think like when push comes to shove, that's going to be a much harder decision than it seems right now. If Oregon
Right.
goes out, he wins the national championship, which be awesome for you guys.
Oh yeah.
It's almost hard to see him not coming out. But
Right.
that said, I think he made that decision before where he was like, I'm not starting right away. I'm going to go to UCLA so I can start.
Right.
And it didn't go that great. I think he's learned patience. He's learned that he needs to keep refining his craft. I think he comes back for another year.
Mm.
Whether he should or shouldn't, I mean, I think that he really has a chance to go 1-1. So I don't think he should. If I was
Yeah.
advising him, I'd say go to the NFL. If you don't think you're ready, they'll sit you a year.
Right.
You'll be fine. You'll get the training you need. But
Right.
I think he's learned that patience. I think he's going to want to take it slow and steady because he got burned from going too fast before, and I think he
Right.
stays. This is your boy. This is your quarterback. You've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
Well, the biggest thing is, I think if they lose any of these games in the regular season, I think it's a no question he stays because it just, it's going to hurt his draft stuff. If they get to playoffs, I think he's more likely to go, because they had that bye week, right? That was a big thing last year. They did it. They had that bye week, so that time off. Ohio State was rolling. They had the momentum. They don't have that bye week this year. They have the momentum going in, so it could be a whole different story for him. He's really shown a lot on tape, though. I mean, his mechanics, as far as what he's doing on the field, as far as skating and hitting his wide receivers, it looks really good. And maybe staying that extra year in that Will Stein offense will benefit him for sure because he's going to just learn it and really break down the game a little bit further. But I do think he's pro ready. As you mentioned, I do think he could be argued as the 101. I do think he could be argued as a top 10 pick, if not the 101. I believe he's been playing phenomenal. A lot of that, though, is the Will Stein offense. It just knows how to really open up the offense or really focus in on the quarterback's strengths and really just kind of master weaknesses, right? The 50% pressure is sack, that's not the best there. He is getting the ball out pretty quickly, but at the same time, when that pressure is coming in, it's kind of like he could get bottled up really quickly as well. I do like him. I see the AT Kuiper mock to the Browns. I'd go back to college too.
Yeah.
For more. Yeah, I mean that's unfortunate because the Browns had two quarterbacks last year. That's like, bro, like right now the Browns are like the death trap, almost similar to the Jets here, where it just becomes that also plays a factor, right? If you're seeing these guys mock you to a specific team, it's like, well, I don't necessarily want to go there. Obviously you want to go to the NFL, play your dreams and stuff. But it's like, I see what they're doing. They're not changing over their coaches in the right way to make it happen, or they're not doing anything like their GMs, right? Like, why are these GMs still there when you have other GMs getting fired? It's like, bro, like I don't understand. But with Dante Moore, the system's built around him. The good thing is he has it compared to recent years of Oregon. They had an elite wide receiver in there. I don't think they had that. The Corey Moore is that, but he's still a freshman. So that's why I'm not putting him in that category. They already have that now, right? So comes back next year, maybe Evan Stewart's healthy again, and now you have Evan Stewart and Corey Moore changes everything for you. So if it were today, I mean, he says he's thinking about staying. I would think, if they win out, I think they go in. So I would say he declares when it's all said and done. But as I mentioned, Iowa's gonna be tough. They're at Iowa. At Washington, that's gonna be. We talk about Washington players, man, and they're legit. That's gonna be hard to do. And that's the closing game, right? So, as of right now, I do think he declares. But what are your thoughts?
I think that if he declares, he becomes like you're talking about him in your rookie drafts as potential 101. He's NFL potential 101. He has all those tools. Like he's got the athleticism. His release is as quick as any. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but it's strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he could push it downfield. It's not,
right.
He's not Josh Allen.
Yeah, for sure.
All of that stuff kind of points to a guy that putting up the numbers he is in that Will Stein offense. Like that's an NFL caliber prospect.
Right.
But I think like he's going to wait another year. He's going to get Evan Stewart back. He's going to try to really blow up.
Right.
And maybe find his way to a team that isn't dysfunctional like the Browns or the Jets that are clearly probably taking a quarterback this year in the first round. So
yeah.
Maybe he
Um,
sticks around. It's tough. What does he do for if he comes out in 2027? Do you have any idea like where in that 2027 draft he would fall for you in your rookie drafts compared to this year?
I think he's still. If we're looking at what it is now, the 2027 quarterback class could be very beautiful as far
Mhm.
as who's coming out. But I do think if that becomes the case, obviously we're talking Jeremiah Smith, we're talking Ryan Williams. This is going to be a draft where we're probably taking some heavy wide receiver early. But I think there's a case where he's still a top five. Quarterbacks that may put over him would be saying, Arch could definitely hit into that over as well. But I do think he's still a top three quarterback there. So it's really gonna be where he lands, I guess, would be based on it. But I do think he's top five, top six type of draft pick there. I don't necessarily see a running back hitting into that mold of the top six. You could talk about three wide receivers that potentially be there, three quarterbacks. I think that could be there. So I would say he's still top six in the rookie drafts there for him.
That's good. Yeah, I agree.
Let's go to our next one. I'll let you do this one because this is your boy. But South
Yeah,
Carolina quarterback Lenoris Sellers. Let's talk about him.
yeah, it's been a little rough this year. So last few weeks especially, 60.3% completion, 1,532 yards. It's only 170.2 per game. 7 touchdown, 5 interception ratio. He's pushing it downfield, 9.78 but just not
Mm-hmm.
seeing any results.
Mm-hmm.
His work on the ground hasn't been great either. Those are obviously the basics. Behind the scenes, it's not much prettier. 10 big time throws to 9 turnover worthy plays, not a great ratio. A 25.4 pressure to sack. That's entering your red alert area.
Right,
3.3 time to throw is abysmal. I mean,
right,
can we say we like to see under 3? Anything
right.
like 305 to 315 is
Mm-hmm.
like bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's well over that. He's also taken 31 sacks, well on his way to many more than last year. This has truly
Right.
been a step back for him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, especially these last few weeks, it's been in particular very bad.
Right.
He started off okay, and it's teetered down. I mean, thoughts here. I mean, I think this was my boy.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
let me take that in. You address it.
No, I mean the numbers you talk about are numbers that we kind of addressed at the beginning of the season, where he's taking too long to throw the ball. If he's needed to throw it, he's running. If he's needed to run, he's throwing it. We're seeing that with the touchdowns and interceptions there. Also with the turnover worthy plays, right? 9 turnover worthy plays, and that pressure to sack. The game hasn't slowed down enough for me to put him in that elite category. The athleticism there, if we're talking athleticism, he's one of the best prospects we're talking about, right? But that's not all we're talking about when we're talking about these prospects, right? We're talking about a lot more here. And he's someone that he has the talent, he just hasn't put it on tape. And I think that's what's hurting him again. Just hasn't really slowed down the game. He's still kind of playing backyard ball, but not in the sense of like backyard ball having fun. It's like, bro, you're playing backyard ball, but you're not. You're doing it like you're just playing it and having fun with your friends, and you're not trying to actually go out there and have a competition in a sense. Um, I think there's no question that he stays simply because the stats aren't there. He has it. We were talking first round pick for him, before in your rookie drafts and in the NFL, and he hasn't done enough to even consider potentially day two. Like at this point, you're taking a shot on the talent, and I just don't know if the teams will do that. So I think he's going to slide into day three if he ends up staying or going. So I think he needs to stay. And also, though, I don't know if staying at South Carolina is the best part, right? I think he's so that if he stays, he should consider a transfer. When we're talking about Archer and Dante, if they stay in your systems. You have great systems there. There's no reason to transfer out. The Laura Sellers, though, they haven't done anything to help you advance. They haven't brought you any weapons. They haven't brought you anything that's gonna say, all right, here you go. They've really just said, Sellers, you're our guy, go do everything. And that's good, but you need some help. Everyone needs help. I mean, even Tom Brady had Deion Branch, right? You have everyone needs something to do something good and benefit from it. And I just don't see that he's doing it to that maximum level there. Uh, Jamie says Sellers wasn't even the top 10 in their mock with three QBs above him. Yeah, and I think there's possibly more. I just don't see the upside right now for him. It's in a sense he has more experience than Anthony Richardson, But right now, I thought there was more upside with Anthony Richardson coming out, even though the less experience was like, okay, there's some things to be asked here. Right now, I think we have the answers for Lenore Sellers. It's like Lenore Sellers, you need to go out there and prove us wrong on these answers. He hasn't been able to do that. Any thoughts there?
No, I mean, I think when you watch South Carolina, he looks better than the numbers say, but he still doesn't look great. And again, these last few weeks, he's looked,
Mm-hmm.
like I've tried to tune in to watch a couple of the games as much as I can, try to understand what's happening. And he looks okay, but he's still clearly trying to play hero ball, and it's biting him.
Yeah.
He's holding on too long. He's running when he shouldn't be running. Again, as you said, he's like dancing around in the pocket and hucking it deep. And
Right.
at a certain point, you just got to take the check down. And you're gonna. But the problem is South Carolina right now. If you keep doing that, you're gonna be taking the check down a lot, and you're gonna be 3-and-out a lot.
Yeah.
So they don't have the infrastructure to actually support a quarterback that plays the way he does. I think if they had a Julian Sayin, he might be able to do a little bit better there.
Yeah.
But with a guy like Sellers, wide receivers aren't getting any separation. When he throws it, he's willing to throw it into coverage, but they're not coming down with it. He needs if him and Cam Coleman can transfer together,
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think that would be a beautiful tandem. Maybe they can go to LSU together, or Miami.
Yeah.
Penn State. One of these coveted spots where they can both develop together. But even if Sellers can just get into a place that has a slightly better O-line that can help him slow the game down, because South Carolina is allowing to pressure a lot. I mean, that's how you have a 25% pressure to sack ratio and 31 sacks.
Yeah.
He's only 10% over Dante Moore in terms of the pressure to sack ratio. Dante Moore's taken 9 sacks.
Right.
Sellers is getting pressured a lot, and it's not all his fault. He holds the ball a lot.
Yeah.
But that time to throw is because he's dancing around in the backfield for 7 seconds sometimes.
Right.
8 seconds. I bet his median time to throw is probably closer to that 3 number.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, he's got to stay because he's tanked his stock this year. This is, it's a massive step back compared to what we saw even last year, especially the second half of last year. I really thought coming into this year that momentum would keep up, and it has stalled out completely. South Carolina's dysfunctional. He's got to get out and find a team and a program that can help him grow and give him the tools to maximize his skill set and show it off.
Great. And I mean, he closes out, on by this week, but then he plays A&M, number 3, versus Coastal Carolina, and then versus Clemson. So his schedule's not necessarily hard, but because of that, he really has, against Coastal and against, Clemson, he really has to go out there and show out that he's a top quarterback. But yeah, even if a win out, I don't think. Well, if they go out there and beat A&M at A&M,
maybe. But even then, has he put enough on tape? That's the problem.
Like I said, I don't think he's moved up to be a first-round pick. I think he's closer to day 3 than he is day 2. But so yeah, I think he stays another year here.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, I just say the talent is all there. It's just he's better than a Jalen Milroe was last year. It's all there. He's got to get out of South Carolina, and if he doesn't stay another year. Because I could see a team taking a shot on him in the first round, and I could see him getting that information. I think that's a big mistake, though, for his development. I would definitely be nervous about drafting him in my rookie drafts this year if he didn't stay another year to get that development.
Well, on top of that, too, I mean, you talk about guys that have their draft stock rise. I mean, he could go out and get declared, have a fantastic combine, and people fall in love. He's like, oh, snap, this is the guy we need to take. So that could be a big part as well. Let's go and move forward, though. This is another quarterback that, on the flip side, is looking really good. It's going to be, Alabama's Ty Simpson. Basics here, 67.8 completion, 2,184 yards, 273 yards per game, 20 touchdowns to 1 interception, 8.6 ADOT. Absolutely doing phenomenal things, Ty Simpson, with Alabama looking really good, complete flip side of what Milroe was doing. What are your thoughts here on Ty Simpson?
Yeah, Ty Simpson's a tricky one because this is his first year as a starter, and he's really he had that rough first game against FSU, and since then it's been absolutely just smooth sailing. He's looked great, but below the hood, there's 7 turnover-worthy plays to only 1 interception. 14 big time throws is good, but it's not great. A 3.03 time to throw is a little over that mark, just a little. It's like a green yellow haze. You know,
Right,
it's like
right.
he could have one
It's
game where
like
it drips under. You know.
yeah, it's the cuss. He's
Yeah,
good, but then it's like all right, maybe not that good, you know. So
yeah,
it's very the
it's
cuss there.
yeah, but he's been awesome, and he's waited a really long time for this opportunity, very patiently. I think what three quarterbacks have gone through there in front of him, and he's finally, getting his time right now.
Yep.
I don't see
Hey,
how he's taken this opportunity and done well with it. I don't see how he stays another year.
right,
And there's also a young guy breathing down his neck there that and
right,
Keelan Russell that I'm sure Alabama is excited to get on the field as well. Even
right,
though they'd be thrilled to have this guy back for another year, but I could see them being like, Ty, we're in good
right,
hands. You go get your money. You go to the NFL, live out your dream. You've done great.
right,
Alabama's in fine hands. We're going to be good next year.
right.
You don't have to worry about us. Like that
Yeah,
type of deal. Because he's lived up to his end of the contract. He stuck around in a year, in a time where everyone was leaving.
right.
So, thoughts on Ty Simpson for you here? You think he should
Yeah.
stay? Go?
No, I think he's done enough on Taylor. Even the only bad thing it could if they lose out, he's the starting quarterback rest of the season.
Yeah,
They play versus LSU today. Then they have versus Oklahoma's number 12. Then Eastern Illinois. Then at Auburn. He's done enough on tape. He's looked really good to garner first round capital, or even to be have a good combine there. But he's really impressed. And what I like about it is, as you mentioned, his first time as a full starter. He's a going into his third year as a junior. He has the eligibility for one more year, but he showed he's been paying attention. I think that's the
mhm,
key thing for guys that are these late time bloomers. Is like, all right, you've been in this program for X amount of seasons. Have you been watching? Have you been learning from the guys that are going in front of you? Are you paying attention to the playbooks? He's doing two different coaches there at Alabama too, and he's really adjusted and understood it. And to be honest, before the season started, we were talking about how Alabama may be in trouble, right? With Ty Simpson at the quarterback, maybe they're going to go to Austin Mack, maybe Keelan Russell. Ty Simpson said, "No, don't worry, I got it." And I love that they stuck with him after the Florida State game because that was like you said, an abysmal game. Like that was like, all right, Alabama's in trouble. Like they're not going to be good. They have turned it around. He has turned it around. He's been more focused. He's able to run out the pocket, extend the play. He's able to do a lot of things. Is it? Is he elite? No, as you mentioned, it's on the cusp of that elite and that good. 3.3
mhm.
time percent throw. You were saying 3.5 and above is kind of bad. 303, you're flirting with. All right, you need to get a little bit faster, but I'm
Yeah,
not mad if that's where you're at. That's gonna be your average, right? 17.4 pressure sack. It's not, Dante Moore or Arch Bailey, right at 15. It's a little bit above, but it's also not 25 like Laura Sellers. So he's getting the ball out, right? He's
mhm,
extending it. He's doing what he needs to do. 67.8% completion, 273 yards per game. It's not bad, right? And I
yeah,
think he has enough to garnish a first round pick. Again, granted, he starts these next four games and they get blown out by LSU. They get blown out by Oklahoma. They lose by 3 to Eastern Illinois and they lose to Auburn. That's gonna be worst case scenario. That's like, all right, bro. Like, but as you mentioned, I don't know if I don't see him staying because I don't think he stayed at Alabama.
mhm,
And at this point, if you go anywhere else, it's kind of like, all right, well, you're probably downgrading because other teams already have it. Like maybe you go
yeah,
Penn State, I don't know, but that's not going to benefit him. So I feel really his only answer is go. Again, he put it on tape. He showed hey, I can go out there and do it. He's also showed you have some guys that have progressed, right? We could say like Spencer Rattler, it's kind of different season. Really was top pick, or top prospect coming into college, and then kind of progressed and kind of stalled.
mhm,
He's really showed progression in this season alone, and again,
yeah,
he showed his willingness to wait and learn, which some teams could take a shot on that. And maybe he's not a first round pick, but I don't think he's dropping a day 3. He's definitely gonna be at least a day 2. But at least the team's gonna say, look, man, like you seem so willing to go out there and do it. I could see like Minnesota taking a shot on him with the injuries that happened to J. McCarthy. They take a shot in the second or third round, and they're like, "Look, bro, you've been able to do it." He's kind of a replica of like, all right, we see that you can lead a team and help them get to that next level. Where JJ goes down, Ty, you're in, and Ty's not gonna get that job back. But yeah, I think he declares. I don't think there's a reason for him to stay. Do you agree?
No, I think he declares, and honestly, I would be surprised if he falls out of the first round and gets past the Jets.
Yeah.
He's got. I'm calling it now. I think he's a Jet, and I think that I don't know that he does that well in that infrastructure, but he's going to be probably a top 8 pick in your Superflex rookie drafts this year.
Yeah.
It depends on how high he goes.
Is he a Jet if they're the 101?
I think so.
Okay.
I could see them a team taking. He's got a little bit more traits in terms of athleticism and moving around, and coming from a program like Alabama, I could see them taking 101 over like a Fernando Mendoza, who hasn't necessarily shown as much on tape to like be as versatile.
Yeah.
I could see Mendoza being the faller, even though he's putting more up in that pre-draft process.
Fair. Well, someone that has fallen that we talked about him time and time again because his wide receiver is arguably the wide receiver one, though. That's Arizona State's quarterback Sam Levet, who's also done for the season, though.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, 60.3% completion, 1,628 yards, 232.5 yards per game, 10 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, 9.1 ADOT, which is great. But out for the season, these aren't beautiful. These aren't numbers I'm jumping up and down about. I mean, even looking at the basics, I would say he stays. I don't think there's reason to come out. The downfall is his wide receiver is leaving. Yeah. I don't think there's a reason why Tyson stays. So what does Sam Levet do to you, knowing Jordan Tyson's gone?
Yeah, I think he transfers. I don't see a world in which he stays at Arizona State. It's not an infrastructure that can support him. He's only been kept afloat by Jordan Tyson. Games where Tyson has been out, his numbers have dropped, especially this year without Scadaboo there to kind of pick up the weight last year. This year, it's been really bad when Tyson is out and Levet is in, which, to be fair, hasn't been that many games. They've kind of overlapped on their times out, which I think is funny.
Because
kind of like they're planning it.
Yeah, he's like, I can't go out without you, brother.
He's like, coach, coach, my leg.
Yeah,
I need my crutch.
Right.
I mean, it's been an odd year for Levitt, and I think that if he can leave, go to a bigger program, he actually, to me, like I know we said Sellers to Miami, he's the perfect Miami guy.
Yeah,
where he's put enough on there. He's he goes down there, he gets the weapons, they coach him up. I don't know what they're putting in the water there to kind of resurrect quarterbacks, but he seems like the perfect guy to sort of go down there, get a little bump up, and declare next year. He's shown enough that I'm confident he's an NFL prospect, and I'm confident he's a Devy guy. The rushing in particular turned into a special trait after being a pretty good trait.
Yeah.
So, I like him, but he's a clear 2027 prospect for me. What about for you?
Yeah. Well, we even look at, under the hood, as you mentioned, 18 big-time throws, 12 turnover-rewarded plays, 23% pressure to sack, 2.94 time to throw. So he's hitting that better, better than good, above average there, and 20 sacks, though. So he has some good things. He has some bad things, right? The 20 sacks, it's like, all right, that's a lot. The pressure to sack, 23%, that's a lot. But he's getting the ball out quickly as well. I do think Miami sounds fantastic for him, as you mentioned. That's a team that could rejuvenate his career there. I would say that he's a quarterback. He needs the wide receivers to look better. Jordan Tyson is the reason why he has the good, in my opinion. Also, you brought up Scalaboo. Scalaboo took a lot of that pressure off last year with the running game. Who's a similar comparable player to Levet? As far as an NFL prospect,
I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to go with MVP lead runner right now, Drake May.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got the similar arm. He's got that same kind of like rushing ability, and he's got work to do to get to that level. But so did Drake May going into the NFL. You look at rookie year Drake May, he took a big step up. So I'm calling rookie year Drake May, to be clear, not this current version. But he has the ability to level up. Man, Jamie, that's some haterade.
That's Drake May's too spicy for you. You call it. You're being bold there. Yeah. Let me cycle through quarterbacks real quick. Comparable to Sam Levet.
Will Levis? You can say Will Levis.
No, to be honest, I was thinking about it. I want to say Tua. That was the first thing that came to me. He doesn't have the same arm as Tua, but I feel he does have the intelligence. Like Tua is a smart quarterback, so I feel he does have that intelligence. He does have the ability to escape as well, like Tua does. I just feel like Tua. There's a lot of times where it's like you didn't make the play you needed to play. You played that hero ball in a sense. Um, I was trying to think someone that threw like him, but I feel like Tua is again just he's a smart quarterback, but there's something missing in his game, or he's gonna go out there and shine with one of those wide receivers. Like Tua goes to Cleveland, Tua goes to the Jets. He's not that personal quarterback. He's been blessed with a Jalen Waddle, with a Tyreek Hill, with now Devin Dodson. He's been blessed with good weapons around him. Put Sam Levet in Miami, and not the Hurricanes. Now put him with the Dolphins. He could be great. He could be that quarterback. So I feel for me that's where I would be right now. Let me get back on that with the Cup because I'm trying to think of game wise, but just the demeanor of what he does on the field, the way he thinks, the way he acts on certain plays, I feel that's the same kind of mindset of what Chu is doing on the field as well.
Yeah,
So,
he's in between that Sam Howell and Drake May for me. Like he's
yeah,
right in the middle of that UNC mold of quarterback, that
yeah,
cusp. It's and it could go either way for him. I could absolutely see him bombing out, being a fifth round guy, showing some promise at the NFL, but never making it.
yeah.
Or I could see him taking that next step in his game and becoming, a true first round talent. Team takes a big hit, big shot on him, and he's a dog. He's got a leader mentality. His teammates really rally around him, but unlike Tua, every time Tua has a press conference, I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
that's true. Right. Drake May is bigger too. That's why I think it's a little bit different as far as the comp there. But
Drake May is bigger.
Yeah. But instead of take for Tua, we'll leave for Levet. Jamie, tell us how you really feel about Sam Levet, please.
Yeah, I think he doesn't like him. I'm taking a wild shot here.
Let's go into our last quarterback here, though. John Mateer out of Oklahoma. This is a guy that we do at Washington State. He was looking good. Came to Oklahoma, was doing well. The basics here: 63.8% completion, 1,948 yards, 243 half yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not the best. 8.2 ADOT. That's good. By the scenes, this is where it kind of gets. Again, it's like he's doing some great things, but then it's like you're looking further. It's like, all right, bro, like you need to get this better. 9 big time throws, 12 turnover worthy plays, 16.8 pressure sack, fantastic. 2.65 time to throw, and 16 sacks. I'm kind of mixed. If you talk about earlier this season, I'm like Mateer's going in. He got banged up, and it hasn't looked the same necessarily. I'm kind of bit like I'll let you speak on him before we talk about if he declares or stays. We say Levet stays, right? That was our thing.
Levet stays and transfers. I think that was our call.
Talk about Mateer.
Mateer, honestly, it looks better below the hood than it does on the surface, which is interesting. Except for those turnover-worthy plays, but he is feeling it with 7 interceptions. That's a pretty standard turnover-worthy play to interception ratio. He's not getting lucky there.
Right.
It's when I watch him play, on tape, you see like the footwork breaks down a lot. He's got this like sidearm mechanic that's similar to a Stafford or what Mahomes does, and I think he does it too much. I think it's actually a crutch for him, similar to what we see with Cam Ward last year.
Yeah.
Where now it's starting to actually cause problems at the NFL level where you've got to have consistent mechanics. You can do that once in a while, but if you do that all the time, Mateer does it when he doesn't have to. Right. And I think that's what's causing some of the problems for him. He's a great runner. He's like a running back when he takes the ball over. But to me, there's still a lot of stuff for him to work on when you watch him play.
Right.
He needs to. I kind of think his physical traits are very good, but between the ears right now, it's not fully there yet, and that's something that can absolutely be coached up. But it's much better to coach that up at college than it is at the NFL when you got 300-pound monsters flying at you, and you get drafted to a team that doesn't have an O-line. Alternatively, it could be like a Jalen Hurts. He goes in the second round, third round to a team, sits for a little bit, develops behind the scenes, and then takes over when Carson Wentz is done.
Yeah, for sure.
So He's a tricky one. You've had some time to think. What do you think about staying or leaving?
I think he should leave.
Hmm.
I think his the stats aren't the prettiest, but I do think he's done enough on tape to show, hey, I'm better. I could go out to this next level of play. Granted, his coaching has played a lot. Transfer for his coach from Washington State over to Oklahoma. He is on bye this week. He has at Alabama number 4 versus Missouri number 22, then versus LSU. He does have some good matchups coming up. Um, but I do think he's done enough to show it. I mean, he hasn't really had the weapons there, right? Who are we talking about?
Hmm.
Deion Burks, right? I mean,
Right.
you're not.
Second. What's the wide receiver there's name? Saga Tanaka. I, Sorry for
Oh, look.
butchering your name. If this guy tunes in, if he gets a clip of this, he's gonna be real mad.
um, he's done. He's done enough to show, hey, I could be a good quarterback.
Sategna,
Sategna.
Isaiah Sategna. Yeah,
Mm.
he's got NFL. He's an NFL prospect, but not a
Yeah.
high end. I don't think.
It he showed he's a leader. He showed he could do it.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, I don't think he's a bona fide day one starter, but I do think he's someone that he can, as you mentioned, take over for a team and really be the guy. John Mateer is kind of guy that I feel he could be that the journeyman out there for him.
Mhm.
And really go different teams, but he's kind of like he could go out there and do it like a Fitzmagic in a sense, where it's like you're not excited to start him, but then at the same time you're like, all right, I'm not bad if I have to because he can go out there and get it done as well. Um, yeah, I just don't see. I think the 1 year, his first year in the SEC, he's done enough to say, all right, I'm a good enough quarterback. I think if he stays another year in the SEC, teams are gonna dial in, and we're gonna go back to Oklahoma's not good, right? So, uh,
Yeah.
I do think he could stay. Excuse me, I do think he leaves and actually does. Um, just says, "Hey, I'm gonna go take my chance to NFL." Is he a first round quarterback? I think the injury hurt him a lot. I don't know if he's first round, but I do think he could be a day 2 quarterback, and the team takes that shot on him. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he should head to the NFL. I think he's shown enough on tape, and I don't think the physical tools are enough that he can actually elevate much past his stock. Like he doesn't have that strong, the strongest arm. He's not the best at laying the ball. I think if he can find a good home on day 2, where he can sit for a year, really learn from the quarterback. Honestly, like the Rams would be great.
Yeah, for
Stafford can
sure.
show him, hey, here's when you use this move,
Right. Yeah.
and here's when you deliver a dart, and he can sit there and, I think they'd have Sean McVay would have a field day with a weapon like him in the arsenal. He'd get used in packages, kind of
Yeah.
like the Taysom Hill role.
Yeah.
Um, so I think he should probably head out and take. He's done enough, but I could definitely see a world in which he has loyalty to his coach. He feels he didn't do enough this year, and he sticks back in school and goes and
Yeah.
tries to win Oklahoma championship. But if I were him, I would leave, and I think he ultimately does.
Yeah. You said the Rams, or even like Jacksonville. If he sits behind
Yeah,
Lawrence, because Lawrence is on there, it's to the point where it's either Lawrence is your guy or he's moving on, right? So I think he may have that one more season in him, but then you draft him here. It's like, all right, well, he's next man up. So
yeah.
yeah, I think he should declare.
And he fit
Uh,
that Liam Cohn system really well. So
let's go into our running backs here. I'll let you talk to running backs. So first, we're gonna start with Notre Dame running back Jadarian Price.
yeah, so Jadarian Price behind Jeremiah Love this year, 6.1 yards per carry, 521 yards, 325 of those are after contact, which is good for a 62.4%. He's also forced 21 missed tackles, which is a pretty good rate. 8 touchdowns, 3 fumbles. 3 fumbles is a concern. That's a little bit high. But below the hood, it's been pretty good too. Thoughts here on Jadarian Price?
Yeah, I mean, when a running back has a season like he's having, it's not upper echelon, right? He's not rushing for 1,000 yards, but rightfully so. He's behind Jeremiah Love, but it's still good enough numbers, right? 6.1 yards per carry, 21 missed tackles, 19 big time plays as far as 10 or more yards there. 47% breakout, yardage there comes from it as well. 27 first downs, 65 yards per game. Really doing some big things. I don't see a role where Jadarian Price goes into a day two prospect, even if he stays. Like I just don't see that role. So
Mhm.
I think right now though he has done enough to say, look, I could be a good committee back. I could still go out there and do some good things. I think he should leave. They're closing out the season versus Navy at Pittsburgh, who's number 24, but still beatable, versus Syracuse and then at Stanford. He has really good matchups coming in where Jeremiah Love needs to sit, and maybe they do that because Jeremiah Love is a lock to go potentially in the first round, but he's definitely at least a second round lock, but he's a lock nonetheless. Maybe Syracuse and Stanford, they're like, all right, we're locked in the playoffs here. Jadari, you're gonna be the one taking over. We're gonna kind of rest Jeremiah to make sure he's ready. That helps him. I do think it's been a nice 1-2 punch for him. Again, it's not 1,000 yards or anything like that, anything crazy, but it's still nice enough to say, okay, you've done enough. The fumbles are the biggest concern. We've seen some
Right.
coaches bench elite players because they fumbled the ball once, so he needs to tighten that up. But other than that, I think everything else has been really good for him. But I think there is a good chance that he ends up declaring. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the other route on this one because I think next year he gets that backfield all to himself and
Okay.
he can really show out. Price is actually I think I'm a little higher on him than you because I think he could easily be a day two guy.
Okay.
He's he's an absolute kind of bowling ball back. He's physical. He makes he's got good footwork. He makes guys miss. He hasn't really shown any of the receiving game necessarily, but I think he's
Yeah.
shown enough that I want to see Notre Dame use him next year. Like I think he's a perfect running back to maybe be or 2027 101, 102 running back.
Okay.
If he comes out, the
Yep.
it is interesting. Like he's got a chance this year. Like the running back class for this year and next year aren't necessarily strong, so he could also come out and be one of the top guys this year.
Okay.
But I think with Love in front of him, he's shown enough that he can be the guy next year. And then
Okay.
Notre Dame uses him as the guy. They keep, he comes back with Carr and they
Yeah.
go out and try to win another natty.
Yeah.
It's the schedule is juicy though. I think if he gets over 1,000 yards, he comes out because that
Okay.
means he went on an insane run.
That's including the playoffs, though. Yeah, because I don't think he does it in 4 games.
No, I'm saying 4 games. Like if he can go out
Okay.
and do that,
Yeah.
if then he comes out. If
For
he
sure.
if he doesn't quite get there, if he's like just short,
Yeah.
he comes back next year. That's what I'm hedging. It's such an arbitrary number, but
What's he
I'm thinking there.
580? We'll say. So just trying to do the math in my head.
Probably about 130-ish a game,
Yeah,
132.
140, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean that's not bad. It because again, it's just harder because Jeremiah Love's there. They're still going to use him, right? So,
yeah,
but he has the ability to break away and get those big time plays. So potentially it is there. Running backs come ish. I think a lot of them are seeing what Nicholas Singleton did, and they're like, all right, if I'm having a good season, maybe I gotta get out, right? So,
yeah,
we're split on this one. I think this was the first one that we're kind of split here. We're saying he stays or goes. So that's good though. I do like Jadarian Price. I think he's
yeah.
done a lot, and I think he's a talent to watch nonetheless. For him. Um, next one here, another guy that's do badly with injuries, but NC State's Hollywood Sweaters. Talk to us about him.
Yeah, Hollywood Smothers is having a heck of a year. 6.9 yards per carry, nice.
Yep.
825 yards, 528 of those are after contact, good for 64% rate.
Mm-hmm.
He's forced 36 missed tackles, which is very good numbers. And he's got 6 touchdowns. He's also chipped in the receiving game quite a bit this year. He's been a true weapon. Undersized guy, but doing a lot in the ACC. What do you think here? Hollywood Smothers, stay, go?
I do want to say no fumbles. I didn't have that limit.
Yeah,
No fumbles either. So he's holding the ball pretty well. Having a fantastic year. I mean, I feel like you underplayed it because this is absolutely great for Hollywood. I know our guy Amir absolutely loves Hollywood Smothers. A little bit smaller, as far as a running back. 22 big time plays as far as 10 plus yards or more. 56.2 breakout yardage there. 25 first down, so he's moving down there. 103 yards per game. Fifth season, they are on bye this week, but then they play Miami at number 18 versus Florida State, then versus North Carolina. I think Smothers should go. I think I don't. He says the bye week, so we're gonna see what he does. If he's injured, but even then, pre-injury, like if he's injured, I don't see a world where they should necessarily play him anymore unless he say that wants to. Because I feel he's done enough to say, "Hey, I should get drafted." As potentially day two. Running backs are always iffy, right? It's hard to really gauge on them, but he's done enough on tape, showed enough, especially as you mentioned, 64 yards after 64% yards after contact, 128 yards, 825. That's 64% of those that he's gained after the contact. He's not going down with ease, and when he is, he's not fumbling too. That's a big part. 36 missed tackles for us. Fantastic. He is really showing off his elusiveness. He showed off his vision. He looks really great. Has some speed then to his game as well. He's done a lot to say, look, I could be a running back at that next level. Um, and so because of the running back trajectory or the running back, what's the word I'm looking for? The running back ideology, I guess you could say, of the idea of running backs just fall off the cliff at certain ages. I think that it's a side Hollywood should go. Like there is no guarantee you repeat this kind of season next year. 6.9 yards per carry is phenomenal considering he's played every game past, other than last week of 825 yards. That is really good, right? It's not just saying he's obviously getting the ball a lot, but he's not someone that's necessarily getting heavy yardage like carries. Like he's doing really good with the opportunities he's getting, and that's what you love to see a lot more of. You kind of think like a Devin saying light, where he's like he has the speed, he has the ability. Just give him the rock, let him do his magic. That's what you love to see there for Smother. So I think staying's gonna hurt him. I think he should declare, and it's only because if this were a wide receiver, we could say something different. But because it's a running back, and because we know the NFL has less value as far as taking running back super early or having those starts as well, I think he should go because again on tape, if you look at the box score as well, he's doing really good and enough to really be potential day two prospect in my opinion.
Yeah,
Thoughts there?
no, I'm right there with you. I think he should absolutely head to the NFL. I'm not sure at his size, and I think he's going to be a good athlete, but not a great athlete. Like,
Yeah.
Especially at it, like when you adjust for his size,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be a day three guy, but early day three, like your
Yeah.
round four, where we kind of see these like good running backs go.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I think he should head to the NFL. You're not gonna, as you said, you're not gonna replicate this kind of year. He's been phenomenal. Uh, you know, it'd be a mistake, I think, to return. He should come out, take advantage of the big year,
Mm-hmm.
get in the NFL, and go to work. I
Right.
think he's maybe what I wanted Dylan Sampson to be last year. Is
Fair.
kind of what Hollywood Smothers is.
Right.
It's we'll sort of see. I think he could definitely get a role though. I probably like as your 1B in an offense, maybe your 2A.
Right.
But he could absolutely complement a bigger back very well.
Right.
Maybe like to the Jets, they move on from Brees and it's him and Braylon Allen next year, kind of thunder and lightning. Or
I can see it taking over the role of one of the rookies, like he goes to the Colts and he surpasses DJ Giddens, or he goes to Cincinnati, surpasses Charles Brooks. Those bigger backs that he goes out there and does. Like, all right, well, I'm a little faster, I'm a little bit better in the pass catching as well. So
yeah, no, and the Bengals a great spot. Like I think that they're probably moving on from Chase Brown pretty soon. Like I don't think he's a second contract running back.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I think he definitely has played his way into carving out a role at the NFL level if he can get an opportunity. And as such, he should head there.
For sure. Yeah, so I think we're both in agreement there for Smothers here on what he's going to do. Bears, that could be a great one.
Yeah.
Bears would be a fantastic one. Good call out there, Jamie. Let's go to our last running back here. This is your guy here as well, but Bryson Washington out of Baylor, your former WRB1. But talk to us about Bryson Washington.
Yeah, Bryson Washington has been banged up a little bit this year. He's had nagging injuries, but 4.8 yards per carry. It's a big step down from last year where he was over 6. 624 yards. 417 of those are after contact, so that's good for 66.8%, which is kind of high level. 23 missed tackles forced, 3 touchdowns, and 3 fumbles, which is, again, big red flag here.
Right.
Redshirt junior. Talk to us about what's below the hood and what you think of him, whether he should come stay or go.
It's hard because the injuries, like and this is kind of what we just said about Smothers and why he should go. I mean, obviously he could have gone last year, but it's like the year per year is very versatile when it comes to running backs, right? 16 big time plays as far as 10 yards or more, 34% breakout yardage there for the big time plays, 39 first down. So he is able to get 69.3 yards per game. To be honest, Baylor isn't the team we thought it was going to be as far as
Yeah.
just being that explosive, like high powered offense. They're good, but they're just not the high power that we wanted to. Um, as we said with Sweathers is having a great season, so it's like go out. Bryson isn't. So we've seen him have great. Now we've seen the bad. I think he does stay to show. All right, look, either you're bad, you're great, or maybe you're in the middle. But
Mhm.
I do think there's a reason for him to stay. You mentioned the injuries. That's one, right? Get healthy, get right. The fumbles is a concern, right? That's gonna be something. He was already a smaller back coming in. Uh, and now you have the fumbles there. He has to tighten that up. Baylor's still a good program. He can still stay there. He can still do a lot of good things for him. But because of the season he's having at hand compared to what we saw freshman year, this is a time where it's like stay another year, kind of recuperate it, understand what you need to do, and go out there and do it. They're on by this week. He plays versus Utah's number 13. Utah has a tough defense at Arizona versus Houston. Um, Easier matchups, but he would have to really go out and get 400, 450 yards over these next three games to really for me to consider say, okay, you should go. And I just don't see that happening. So I do think he should stay another year. That's
Yeah,
fair.
no, I mean, I agree. I think that the biggest thing that I've seen this year with the injuries is it sapped out explosiveness. Last year he was breaking away big plays much more consistently.
Right.
You look at the numbers. That only a 34% breakaway yardage, like that's really low.
Right.
And 16 10 plus yard plays. That's definitely less than what he had last year. It's He's been grinding, and the power has been there, but he hasn't actually been doing what you need to do to show you're an NFL caliber running back. I think he's
Right.
fallen into probably a day three.
Right.
Um, so if he could, I think he needs to transfer up. Honestly, like get right, transfer up, find a good program. Like Alabama desperately needs a running back.
Yeah.
Um, he would. I think he'd fit that system really well. Like if he can, he's got pass catching chops. He added the weight, which you'd think would make him a little more durable, but it seems to have
Yeah.
not. He got up to like 215, 220 this year, and I think that's hurt him actually. I think he needs to drop back down, maybe play at like 205, 210. He was
Yeah.
plenty powerful with it last year, but it's he's got to find a way to get right. This has clearly been a step down. It's been extremely disappointing for me. Two of
Yeah.
my guys not showing out. I know you put them on here to hurt my heart,
Well,
um, but he's been he definitely has stuff to work on. So I think he should stay another year and possibly transfer to a different program because Sawyer Robertson's going to be gone,
that's true.
and I don't see the Auburn transfer there, White.
Yeah.
Um, I don't see him.
Doing
You know,
much for Washington.
yeah, it's gonna be all on him again without much help at the O line. So
Yeah.
he's got to find a program that'll do him right and give him a chance to shine.
That's fair. That's fair. So we're both in agreement that Bryce Watson stays, instead of declaring there. Let's talk about some wide receivers here, though. We're going to start with Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion, the former NC State breakout freshman. Really, doing good things. 59% reception completion when targeted, 545 yards, 225 yards after contact, which equates to 41.2% yards after contact. 15.1 yards per route run, 7 touchdowns as well. 36, 61 targets, 36 receptions, 68 yards per game. Really a guy that, plays elsewhere. I do think he's a nice slot guy, but surprisingly, he's played more out wide, right? 67% of his snaps out wide compared to 32 in the slot. I'm sorry, 15.1 yards per reception, not yards
Yeah,
route run. 2.58 yards per route run. Excuse me for that. And then 14 average depth of target, 14 yards average depth of target, 4 drops
yeah,
though, and then 55.6% contested catches though. He's not elite. I don't think he's bad either. I think he's doing enough to be good. What are your thoughts on Casey Concepcion?
yeah. I think he's been pretty solid this year and rebuilt some of his stock. It's He's a tricky one on whether he should stay or go because I think he's put enough on tape here to rebuild that stock. He's shown that he can, he's played out wide because Craver has kind of taken that slot role by the horns.
Right.
So he's been out wide. He's shown he can do it. The numbers aren't gaudy, but I think he's done enough that he should probably come out.
Yeah.
It's a stronger wide receiver class, which is funny because I think before the year we would have said, running back and quarterback are going to be really strong this year, and instead
Right.
it's the wide receiver. But
Yeah.
next year is even stronger,
Yeah.
and he's kind of limited to probably at the NFL level. He's probably just a slot guy. I don't think that he can consistently play out wide and win.
Agreed.
So, come out. He's probably a late day 2, early day 3 guy, but he's shown enough that I'm intrigued by him. I think he's been good. If you look at the tape, it's been even better. I mean, Marcel Reed is a great college quarterback, as we've talked about. But I think that reception rate would be a little bit higher. The Jaden Reed type. We got a question from Jamie. Is he like Jaden Reed? The play style is very different to me. It's more. I don't actually necessarily have a great comp here.
I think he's more like a solid, solidified special team player. He'd be fantastic in punt return, fantastic in kick return, where it's really hit or miss when it comes to his actual receiving role at the next level. So Jaden Reed, I think Jaden Reed has a lot of upside. Really, I know Matthew Golden went in that first round there, but I really could see Concepcion really being like that, just nice speedster, gets down the field quickly, but it's really going to depend on how they use him in packages because I don't know. He's not going to be the team's wide receiver too. He's going to have to play in the slot there. But I do think he's going to carve out a role in special teams. Like he'll be something special in the special teams, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to I guess if you're looking for an absolute ceiling play, maybe a Rashid Shaheed type of role, where he starts to go down there. But I mean, it's really Josh Downs is kind of I think what you're looking at, but he's not quite as good as Downs was when he came out, in my opinion. I mean, I could see, but that type where it's either going to be a low A dot in the slot getting a ton of receptions and he kind of fades behind more talented players, or he goes. He's definitely faster than Booty, but yeah, Booty's not bad. Jamie calling that out. He's a tough one to gauge for me because I see the upside. He could get peppered with targets, and maybe he's not the wide receiver 1 or 2 of the team technically, but he plays up to be their wide receiver 2 or 1 on target alone.
Fair.
But it's either going to be low A dot and he needs to work after it, or he's going to be a gadget deep guy, kind of like a Rashid Shaheed, and he needs to be really efficient.
Right.
Which, so he's a tricky eval for me, but I think he should still come out.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything he can add. He rebuilt that stock after a down last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, next class is very deep risk. If you come out this year, you could possibly the top 10 wide receiver out the board. I don't know if you're even top 15 next year. So, yeah. Our next guy here, someone else that has rebuilt his stock, though. Florida State, Deuce Robinson. Just the basics here. 64.2% reception rate there when he has 53 targets to 34 receptions, 689 yards, 198 after contact. So he's not really going to do anything with the ball when he's there. That equates to 28.7% yards after contact there, 20.3 yards per reception. So that's really good. Just a field stretcher there. 4 touchdowns, 86 yards per game, plays out wide, 83% of his snaps out wide, 3.28 yards per route run, 16.4 ADOT, 1 drop, 66.7% contested catches. Deuce Robinson is a field stretcher. That's what it is. He's a big body. He saw they could go up there and get it for you. So I think he did enough in the transfer where he can, kind of transfer out and go to that next level. And I don't really see why he would want to stay an extra year with this. Go out there, man. He might be able to slip into day 2. I mean, he could slip into day 2 this year as well. But I think he's risen his stock a lot to say, all right, man, this is what you are. Because I don't see him fine tuning his route running. Like he's a bigger
No.
body, right? So I think what we see on tape is what he is. And I don't know if there's anything above that necessarily either.
Yeah, he's been like one of the surprises. I think, you know, we were talking coming to the year, like I was still in on the talent, but I didn't really see him becoming a like field stretching deep threat,
Right.
which is exactly what he's become.
Yeah.
And he's been really good in that role. So I think he should come out because he's built it up enough. He's not going to be able to separate from the guys next year, though.
Right.
And he's put enough on tape that I think a team will see the value. Like he'd be a great wide receiver 3 for a team where
Right.
he's going deep. You know, like he'd complement. You know, he'd be great on the Lions. Like he's
Right.
kind of what they wanted with Tesla. I mean, they probably don't get him, but like that complementary piece to a guy who works underneath and a slot guy that's really good in Amon-Ra.
Right.
You have the fast guy who can do a little bit more gadgety stuff in Jameson, and Deuce is just going deep, and you need to cover him because if you just put one guy on him, he
Right.
could posterize you.
Right. Put him in New York with the
yeah,
Giants.
Yeah, I mean it's we need a court. Well, Dart would probably find him pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see him there. If I'd rather we need a few pieces. Being honest, we need a few pieces. But yeah, he'd be good there, or like the Patriots.
Yeah.
You know, he'd be good to kind of slide in next to Diggs and Booty.
Right.
He could really be that third guy there. Probably the second guy, honestly, probably elevates above Booty in terms of talent.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think again, you see, Deuce Robinson has done enough for your fantasy teams. He's probably like end of round 2, early 3 for your 2026 drafts, even if he comes out. But you're gonna have some fun games with him because he's gonna catch some bombs.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna be that stretcher where he's gonna have big games, and there's gonna be some where he doesn't do it. But I do think. I think there's a better chance if KC stays, where KC could fit into the top 10, 15 of that next class next year. Where Deuce Robinson, I don't know. Again, he's a field stretcher, and that's call it like you see it, and that's really what comes down to. He's a bigger body where he could be that red zone target for you as well. So I think he should go out because again, he could slip into day 2. You know, with the season he's putting on. So. Our next guy here, another guy that could be considered a field stretcher though, USC's Jacoby Lane, 63.4% reception rate. That's 41 targets, 26 receptions, 446 yards, 198 yards after contact. That's going to be 44.4% yards after contact, 17.2 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns, 63.7 yards per game. He does play out wide more, 76.9% out wide, 2.45 yards per route run. So you want to see a little bit more from that. 12.28 out though, so he does get 3 drops. That's the concerning part, and 33% contested catch. Jacoby Lane has been banged up this season. I do think he's a better version of what Jaden Higgins was. I said it before. If you love Jaden Higgins, you're probably going to love Jacoby Lane. Just what USC's doing, though, I think he has to ride that wave and declare. I don't think he should stay. They have a special season at hand with them, even with injuries lining up for him. I think that's going to help him get to that next level. But it's not a bad year. I mean, considering he had injuries. But what are your thoughts with him?
Yeah, we're going to be split here again because I think he should stay. He's looked like he's got the highlight reels on tape. If you just watch his highlight reel, you'd think he was the number 1 wide receiver in the country. Because he does some special things, but it's the consistency. I don't know if it's between the ears or if it's, you know, just he's not able to replicate it. Like if that's something he's just not physically capable of doing. But he's got some of the best hands in the class, but that 33% contested catch rate, lower than a lot of these other guys we're talking about. You know, it's not consistent with him. He's the yards after the catch. You know, you talk almost 200, but when you're watching him play on tape, he's not actually like fighting to get there. You know, and Jamie's saying he's kind of slow, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he actually is. I think he takes a lot of plays off.
I think he'd be a 4.4 for closer to 4.5, but
yeah, but fast enough. You know, I don't think he's like a 4.6 or 4.7 guy. I think he's probably in that, like, he's going to be one of those guys at the combine. I think he surprises. He runs like a 4.43, and everyone's like, I didn't think he was that fast.
Yeah.
I think it's because he's not putting 100% every play.
Yeah.
And whether that's the injuries that are holding him back or whether that's something between the ears, I think if he stays another year, Makai Lemon is obviously coming out. He's going to
Yeah,
be probably wide receiver 1 or 2 of this class.
right.
Lane will have that room to take over. And another guy, a quarterback we didn't talk about, like Maeva, I
Yeah,
think probably stays another year as well.
and
And
that could be a
they,
deciding factor. If Miami
yeah,
stays, it's like, all right,
yeah, I'll stay too.
yeah,
And but yeah, I don't think he's actually slow. I think he takes plays off. I think he isn't as consistent like route to route, and he's definitely not the most agile guy.
yeah.
But he can get separation. He can run routes really well. He just doesn't do it every play. And I think
He's
if he can work on that consistency, then he can come out.
and he's a bigger frame, and I don't
Yeah.
expect him to necessarily get that separation as you see. But again, someone that could win those contested catches, he can't go up there and do it. I think this season it was downfall with injuries kind of lingering
Yeah.
there. So he's just, as you mentioned, not necessarily playing that 100% because maybe it's the doesn't well re-aggravate it, right? So he doesn't well go full force quite yet. But good wide receiver. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where he could go because I do think he could get some good capital, raise up skyrocketing on our draft boards as well. This will be good.
Yeah.
Um, our last wide receiver here, though, we're going to talk about Jace Brown out of Kansas State. This is one of your guys here. 16.3% reception rate here. That's going to be 63 targets, 38 receptions, 630 yards, 168 yards after contact. So that's 26.6% yards after contact, 16.6 yards per reception, 4 touchdowns, 70 yards per game. He's sold that's played more in the slot, 70.2% in the slot, 2.73 yards per route run, 14.5 ADOT, 5 drops. That's concerning. And then 45.5% contested catch. The drops, I need to go back and watch them all because I feel like some of those could be more based on Avery Johnson just throwing wobbly balls there than actually him, making the drops. What are your thoughts on Jace Brown? 'Cause I know this was a guy you were high on.
Yeah, I think he's having and honestly, with Avery Johnson there and with that K State offense, he's having a pretty damn good year.
Yeah, for sure.
He missed a couple games due to injury, so he came back. He's shown he's a deep threat this year, which is I think last year was a little bit more closer to the line of scrimmage, playing that slot role. This year he's gone deep. He's beating guys in the seam. I mean, he's
Right.
really fast. The drops, a lot of it is concentration. He'll get the ball in his hands. He'll go to turn up field,
Right.
and he forgot to hold on to it.
Right.
He's turning up before he's ready, taking his eye off it. That's something
Yeah.
that can be worked on.
Yeah.
It's not a hands problem, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I think he should come out. I really do. I think he's put a very good year in that offense. And if he doesn't come out, he needs to transfer to like a blue chip program and be their wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
But I think he should come out because I think he's put enough on tape and put enough, on the stat sheet that a team is going to really fall in love with him. And I think he's going to be a day 2 guy.
Yeah.
And I would expect him to run like a 4.4 or just below.
Okay. And you said, I'm sorry, you did say you think he should come out?
I think he should. Yeah. I think he's put enough out there. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I want to say board. I think he can be a solid day 2 pick. You look at the box score, you're like, all right, again, it's not the upper echelon stats that you want to see. But I think it's good enough, right? A lot of these times when you look at these stats, you have to say, okay, let's go back and look at the team they're on. Let's go back and see the games they were playing. Kansas State, let's go back and see the quarterbacks that's throwing to him. Put him with Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith and them. He maybe having a good year. Put him in Oregon. He'd be having a fantastic year, right? So a lot of that plays into effect of where they're at. Kansas State isn't the best program as far as what they're doing, right? But it is good. Avery Johnson is a good quarterback. But again, he's not the elite quarterback. But Jace Brown can be an elite wide receiver. We see it, with what he's doing there, 168 yards after contact. He's not necessarily the most elusive person on the field, but 60.3% reception, that's really good there, in my opinion. That's something that you can't really teach that. He has solid hands, so you go out there and get it. I think he could be a solid wide receiver 1, or even the thing is he could play in the slot, he could go out there and be your top guy as well, play your X or play it outside as your wide receiver 2. He really can be a versatile 1. It's gonna be the coach that has to utilize his talents correctly to really get him to that next level. Jamie. But yeah, that's a good one there. I don't see a reason why, unless, as you mentioned, if he stays, he's transferred to a blue chip program. So maybe he's going to, as I said, maybe he gets to Oregon. Maybe he goes to Miami. Now it's him and Sam Levet, possibly, if they end up transferring, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think if he stayed, he should have stayed at Kansas State. But I do think he's done enough to declare, and why not? With the wide receivers, we talk about the class next year. He's still a sophomore, but I think in this class he could be considered the top 7 is top 10
Yeah.
wide receiver. So I think he should go. Before we go out, let's talk about our last two guys here. We're gonna talk about some tight ends here. Let's go into Max Clare out of Ohio State. 77.8% reception. Really good. 27 targets, 21 receptions, 210 yards, 68 yards after contact, 7.9 ADOT, and a touchdown. 1.37 yards per out run, 60% contested catches, 35.5% of his snaps are blocks. So he does have some good time out there. Tight ends, you're never looking at elite stats as far as box numbers, but as far as that, I don't know if Claire's done enough to, let's say, move it in. Like I feel I want to see more of the blocking game, and it's not necessarily there. I do believe he's getting outsnapped as far as blocks with the another tight end there. I can't draw the name though, but I do think he's someone that he should stay. But what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, when you watch it, it's tough because you watch him at Purdue last year, and he looked like a kind of complete, jumbo tight end. Your guy who's going out running routes and catching the ball. It hasn't been there this year. He's been, and it's tough in that Ohio State room. They have a lot of guys, but I just don't see. He kind of looks like a tweener to me, like that classic kind of like 4th round. He's got enough receiving. They're like, okay, I could see a path, but he's got not enough blocking to kind of like demand to be the 2, and sort of just falls. Kind of like what's his name out of BC, Hunter Long. Kind of like Hunter Long a few years ago. Like that's just the type of tight end he is. He's always going to be in a room. He's always going to kind of maybe put up like 200 yards at the NFL. You might even be able to spot start him if all the tight ends in the room go down and he gets a spot start. Like I could see him like 7 for 78 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I don't see a consistent producer with Max Clare. And, so do I think he should come out? Do I think he should go? I think he should probably try to stay and bump up, but it's, I don't know that there's all that much upside for him. Like if he comes out, it's going to be combine dependent and team dependent on where he lands, but he hasn't done enough to vault up. I mean, we saw last year some elite tight end production with Tyler Warren and Harold Fannin, and even Colson Loveland had pretty high end production from the year before, and last year was like dominant on a target basis. So I think he should probably stay, but I think he's probably going to go if I had to guess.
Well, JB asked, was there ever an elite tight end in the NFL from Ohio State? Not one that comes to mind
in recent history.
But I do think he could be a solid NFL player, but it's not going to translate to what we want for like fantasy perspective. Yeah. I think he'd go out there and be fantastic for a team, get what they need done, but I don't think that's going to be necessarily what they want as far as NFL level. So I think he goes, though. I don't know why he would stay. I think Ohio State's going to continue to cycle through guys, and I think there's a reason why he should just go. He transferred over to have a year to say he could play at Ohio State, and they're winning. You're on the team that's going to possibly win a national championship again. You got to take that momentum and just say, all right, I'm going to go with it. Yeah. Now, on the flip side, though, let's go to a different tight end that's completely different perspective here. That's going to be Oregon's tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. Arguably tight end one of the class, but 78.6% receptions, 311 yards, 153 yards after contact, 9 ADOT, and 5 touchdowns. That equates to 28 targets, 22 receptions, 1.8 yards, 1.81 yards per route run, 33% contested catch. 52% of his snaps are blocks, and he's been on 171 run block snaps. So he's definitely someone that's going out there. He said it. He wants to go after the guys. He wants to go out there and block because he wants to have that physical touch there in the sense of, getting face to face with these defenders there as well. An absolute beast. We talked about the, freak list before. He made the freak list. What are your thoughts on Kenyon Sadiq, though? Should he come out or should he stay another year?
Oh, he should absolutely come out because I think he's probably a first round player, maybe early day 2. Word of caution on Sadiq though, because he's a beast physically. Like he's an absolute specimen. but he is. It reminds me a lot of Chigo Okonkwo, where he's
Okay.
a little undersized.
Yeah.
Athletically, he's fantastic, but he's like 6'1", 6'2". I think that Oregon has him at 6'3", but I would guess he comes in a little lower than that at the official measurement. He's like 235, 240 pounds, so a little on the small side for the size.
Right.
He's not he's not your prototypical tight end size. So he's a beast in the run game, but he's really a true H-back more than he is a tight end. So I think he's going to be used in the slot a lot, probably in the backfield a little bit.
There goes Jamie Askin. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he can play in the slot, and he's doing a little bit more downfield. Last year was all at the line of scrimmage or behind, and he's showing that he can do a little bit. I just, I don't know. He's going to be a tricky eval for me, and a lot of it depends on what those measurements come in at. Because if he is truly 6'3", 245, then I have no problem. But if he comes in 6'1", 6'2", 230, 235,
yeah,
I'm going to start to have some hesitations. But that's something he's not going to fix that at college, right? Like, that's not something if he stays at Oregon, he's not going to grow unless you guys have the special sauce.
That duck sauce, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does ask, does he have Laporta upside, Sadiq?
I don't
or
think
is it more like Fannin?
I think that he's more.
I think he's more like an Njoku, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that that's what you're hoping for, is like an Njoku, kind of takes a little bit to, gets up to speed, and then the athleticism comes out. But I'm really worried about like a Chigo Okonkwo outcome.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because the floor would be Chigo Okonkwo, right? Where the ceiling would be Njoku, right? Yeah. I think those are two complete opposite spectrums there, and that's a fair analysis there as far as saying it, because he has the receiving skills, he has the physical toughness, as far as, again, making that free to speed, a specimen in himself. He has the ability to be a nice catcher, a reliable catcher for your team. Also, again, the willingness to want to block. He wants to go out there. Is he gonna be a Brock Bowers or a Trey McBride? No, I don't think he's necessarily gonna be so that garners his targets. But I do think he can end up being so rich in a Joker where you could see a solid 6-7 targets per game. There could be something where maybe, if he ends up going to, let's say, the Ravens and they move on from Mark Andrews, I think he could honestly jump ahead of Likely and, Charlie Kohler there, right? And actually do some stuff. So I do think there's upside for Kenny Sadiq. Does he stay? I don't think he does, considering he, again, arguably tight end one, right? With Michael Trigg will say as well when he's healthy. Sadiq's there though. I mean, you can say Stowers too, but Sadiq is up there for a top 3 tight end of the class. So with that, I don't know why he stays. The only reason why he would is if Dante Moore comes back and he's like, all right, let's go win, right? But we've seen that play effect, right? And he's doing stuff with Allen Evans Stewart, right? Without you have DeCorey Moore, but now you got DeCorey Moore in another season of the offense. So there's gonna be a lot of things that could transition. But I do think Sadiq is someone that can go out there. He could get day 2 capital. So I don't know. I don't think he can do a first round. Can he elevate to that? Sure. But I think he has a high enough ceiling now where it's like, why don't you come out? Because when I say day 2, early second round, the first half of the second round, not the later. I think
he's top 40, 45 pick. Yeah.
So I do think he comes out even with this. He's done enough on tape to say, hey, I could be a versatile tight end. I could go out there and make plays at the next level too. So I would say he comes out.
Yeah, and Jamie, just so you know, like I did a quick look in my kind of like I have a little tight end sheet that I work on for scouting season. His biggest comparables for me right now are Chigo Okonkwo, Noah Fant, and Jonnu Smith in terms of size and production and projected draft capital. So like I think he probably falls more in that like Noah Fant, Jonnu Smith range.
Yeah.
More than the Chigo Okonkwo. Like Chigo Okonkwo, I'd say, is like a complete fantasy bust, but those guys, like, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be. I don't think he's like a true tight end 1 for your fantasy team. He's not a Brock Bowers type of talent. Right. He's a good guy to have to play in good matchups.
Yeah, that's fair.
And an NFL team is going to love him. That's the thing, NFL team is going to love him.
Yeah, that's good. I like the Jalu cut, because Jalu, we saw him have that breakout season, but he was 29. So I mean, he could have it, but again, it's gonna be. he's gonna be one of the team dependent guys, right? Where it's like you have to go to a team that's gonna use you correctly and not just have you as a tight end necessarily there for it.
Yeah. Like
But
straight
no,
blocker.
great episode. Apologize, we did go a little over the hour as far as what games are started. So college football has kicked off. Hopefully, everyone's enjoyed it. If your team's playing today, hopefully they win. Unless they're playing against one of our teams, hopefully they lose. I do want to say, especially because I talked with this about my guy Tom Harvey on the Devy DJs, a big game that's interesting because we're going to sell out your UConn versus Duke today. Should be fun. You have Darian Mensah versus Paganu. You have Cooper Bartek versus Skylar Bell. I think it's to be a firework game. Skylar Bell wants to have guys we're not talking about enough. Thanks for joining in, Jamie. Because I think this is a wide receiver we need to start talking about potentially for it.
I don't know. I've watched a lot of Skylar Bell, being that he's in my backyard, and I think he's a very good college receiver. I'm not sure, like the numbers would support NFL guy, but he looks more like probably like a day 3 fills it out. He fills out as like a wide receiver 4 or 5. But UConn's been fun to watch this year, which I can't say I've had a lot of fun watching UConn in recent history. So it's been awesome to see like Pagano kind of take this program and put it on his back these last 2 years, and I think we might actually be competitive in the AAC finally.
There you go.
We're better than BC, I'll tell you that.
It should be like Ohio State versus 2-7. Ohio State versus 2-7. What's your score prediction? Ohio State wins by 30 points.
49-7.
49-7. I just say they win by 30. There you go. For anyone tuning in, though, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Don't forget, we are on audio platforms as well when it comes to Apple Music, right?
Yeah, we got Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Pocket Casts and Spreaker. So kind of wherever you get your stuff. If you want it anywhere else, let me know. It's pretty easy to add. And obviously, I hope you guys caught the game. I appreciate you bearing with the Saturday long show. If you're catching the games and you're catching us on audio, we appreciate you. If you can, like, subscribe, leave us a review. It helps a lot in terms of boosting some of our content. And if you like us, we appreciate it. Let us know any content you want us to make too. We'll have a show on stuff you're interested in. That's what we're here for, is you guys.
Yeah, we're trying to discuss the future. So if there's if y'all want, who are the wide receivers that we should be looking at, or which running backs should we stay away from, or which quarterback class is the deepest when it comes to 26, 27, 28, maybe even 29. I haven't dove into the freshman yet, but that is going to come here soon. But for everyone at the FFU, we have our roundtable coming on a little later with Jesse and Jeremy. Shout out Jeremy with the Justin Race. Jesse does our weakest, so our Dynasty Dogs. Mike and Rich here. Jamie also says go check out Jeremy Seward on our episode this week at IDP Center. There you go. Our guy Justin Race, Jeremy, do the show with Jamie there as well. For myself, for Stretcher of the Devy Planet, again, we appreciate everyone tuning in. Until next time, have a good Saturday, have a good weekend, and we'll see y'all next week. Later.
Peace.
FFU.